Hello, my brogos and ogresses, and welcome to what I call the ultimate compromise. Yes, today I wanted to go over the Shrek the Third action figures. Again, this time actually owning them, because I did cover the line before, but I didn't actually have the figures. And these figures, they were available for a time. You know, they were a little pricey, but you could still get them. But it feels like I woke up one day and these figures just skyrocketed in value and outright disappeared off the aftermarket. I had so much trouble tracking this line down that it was actually cheaper for me to get a test shot prototype of the Prince Charming figure. Make it make sense. Why does the prototype cost less than the actual figure? I think this line is like the forgotten stepchild of the Shrek toys because the McFarlane Shrek line is often regarded as one of the best cartoon action figure lines. But if you look at the MGA figures, they are a definitive upgrade from like the Hasbro Shrek 2 figures. The sculpting on these is really nice. And I've had this dragon battling Shrek for a while now. And it's kind of just taunted me. Like, man, I really need to give the MGA Shrek toys some more credit. Because for a line of only 4, technically 5, if we count Puss and Donkey as separate figures, they're really solid. But like I said, they just disappeared. So originally I was going to get the basic regular Shrek figure. Because to date, it's the only modern 6-inch Shrek figure to have decent articulation. The McFarlane figure from back in the day is good, but it's not posable. These are posable. Well, it turns out that Shrek now has become exceedingly expensive. He goes well over $100 if he's in new condition, which is crazy to me. It really shows you how starved the market is for modern Shrek action figures. But I was able to get this guy here. And this is the Chase variant of that Shrek figure. So this is the basic Shrek, but the Chase one cast in all silver. As opposed to the regular Shrek, these were only packed 1 per case, making them much more elusive. Now, do you want to guess how much I paid for this figure? I paid $5 for this figure. That's right, $5. Seriously, my venti Starbucks drink today cost more than this Shrek variant. So what I have learned from this experience is that nobody wants unpainted action figures because you can get Chase figures and prototypes cheaper than regular figures, which confuses me because maybe I'm in the minority here, but I love Chase figures. When they do figures in solid gold, solid silver, I just think it's great because it's a bonus action figure. A figure like this is not taking away resources from the line. We're not missing out on Princess Fiona because this exists. Because all this is the figure they already have just being churned out with no paint. It's actually cheaper to make this than the regular Shrek figure. And what makes a figure like this so great is we can really analyze and look at the sculpt up close. Like, check out Prince Charming here. You can see how the model pretty much captures the CG model perfectly. It's a really good rendition of the character. I thought this would be fun because, I mean, I paid so little for this guy, I don't feel bad destroying the beautiful packaging. And this is going to give us a great opportunity to look at the MGA Shrek figures. The packaging design is top-notch. Like all 2000s toys, it is a big, huge bubble. In this case, a shield crest emblem, really playing into the royal theme of Shrek the Third. Even though it doesn't say Shrek the Third, it just says Shrek. This is clearly a Shrek the Third product. You can tell it's Shrek the Third because of the purple and orange, which was the color scheme of Shrek the Third. I always thought that was very clever because Shrek 1 used purple as its colors, Shrek 2 products used orange, and Shrek the Third combined them both. That's very clever. And that royal angle with like the crest and the emblem, it just looks great. It's also very 2000s, like kind of early Adobe Illustrator. They were really playing around with patterns. Like, look at that purple. It almost looks like the TV show Chowder. I think it's so great and so intricate. If you're an in-package collector, this is a beautiful line to track down because look at it. It's great. It also kind of reminds me of the Narnia figures we've covered before on this channel. Those also came in big shield-themed packaging. And it just says, Shrek the Ogre. And they were all going for this kind of like Shrek the Third naming thing. Because if you turn around the back here, you can see all of the figures. And it's Shrek the Ogre, Sir Shrek the Brave, which is like a remake of the dragon battling Shrek figure from the first film. Prince Charming the Vane, which is honestly a very fitting title for Charming. And Donkey and Puss in Boots Dueling Duo. It doesn't say the Dueling Duo. I don't like that, but whatever. And again, a beautiful design, a nice render. Look at all the patterns here, and look at how intricate this back of the packaging is. I love a collect them all cross-sell promotion. You don't see this nowadays. But then again, I am an opener, so packaging is not the be-all, end-all. I'm gonna destroy this beautiful shield-themed packaging as much as it pains me. One more thing I want to point out before we crack this open. Look at the 4 figures on the back and notice how these are clearly hand-painted prototypes. They're probably not even plastic. These are probably resin mock-ups held together by metal pins. They look too intricate, too detailed. Shrek here, the main one, Shrek the Ogre, he looks way better on the card back than the actual figure. Puss in Boots also looks miles better than the actual figure. I get why they do that. This stuff has to be made months in advance, but, you know, as a kid, like, who went on action figure collecting forums back in the day, I was a big Rebel Scum user when Star Wars collecting was at its peak. I just remember seeing prototype action figures a lot, and they always looked better than when they actually came out. That was always a bit of a bummer, but that's enough of that. We are actually going to open this guy up, and this packaging was like super common in the 2000s where it's this really thick stuff, and you have to like cut it with scissors, and you have to be really careful not to slice your hand on this stuff, because it is nasty. It is straight up nasty, man. This stuff will slice you open. Okay, there's our big chonky boy. Let's flip the camera around so we can get a better look at this fantastic sculpt. And here he is opened. Yeah, it is a big silver Shrek. Kind of a strange figure. Like, what's the lore behind this? Is this a Shrek statue? Is this what happens to Shrek when he stares at Medusa and gets turned to stone? Did the Gnome King turn him to stone? From the Return to Oz movie, there's a deep cut reference. But I don't know. I like him. I think it's great. Let's look at that awesome sculpting on the face. This almost looks like if you've seen the making of Shrek documentaries that are on the DVD. I love those classic featurettes. There's a really good one on the Shrek 1 DVD, the two-disc version. It's on the second disc called The Tech of Shrek. And they show, like, uncompleted models of Shrek. That's what this looks like. It looks like an uncompleted animation model. Something that I also think is funny is that his tunic here is tied, you know, with rope. But in the silver, it looks like one of those dreaded tryst ties that I was just complaining about. Like, check out all the pores on his skin. Something like that, I think the paint would block, and you wouldn't see as well in the final version of the figure. And then, like, the pants, the shoes, it's just a superb level of detail. And unfortunately, I don't know who sculpted this. Was it somebody at MGA? Did they contract somebody, which often happens, like maybe Gentle Giant sculpted this. I know they did a lot of work for Diamond back in the day. Art Asylum or Palisades, like this just looks like a classic 2000s sculpt. And the articulation is also a little bit modern. It's much better than what you see on a lot of the other Shrek toys. If you want to compare him here, he reminds me most of the wrestling Shrek figure from the classic McFarlane line because the expressions are so similar. But again, you know, McFarlane, you don't get that articulation. You get that detail, but, you know, McFarlane Toys has never really been known for highly articulated figures. But MGA, on the other hand, the doll company of all people delivering, you know, he has those shoulders, hands, legs, no torso joint. I admit that would have been really nice to have, but, you know, we're desperate as Shrek fans. We're just happy to have anything. Now let's also compare him with the Hasbro figure, which would have been the previous main Shrek figure, and yeah, it's a huge upgrade in terms of sculpting, the face, even the belly, like Hasbro cheaping out, giving him this squishy material because they didn't want to sculpt, you know, all the belly. Like, I get he's supposed to fart, he's got a farting gimmick, but I think they were just being cheap and didn't want to pay for plastic. But this one, yeah, look at that. We'll do a Shrek belly comparison. Yeah, MGA wins, man. They gave Shrek his proper girth. And then, let's compare him to the other Shrek, the dragon battling one. And you're gonna laugh at what I'm gonna say here, but the dragon one is too big. Like, why is he at least 100 pounds bigger and have no neck? You know, I always thought this dragon, Saw Shrek, I should be calling him Saw Shrek, the correct name. I always thought this figure was, like, the best figure of my Shrek collection. But now, like, when I compare these two, you can easily see this one's faults. Mainly the lack of neck and the larger stomach. Seriously, why is Saw Shrek so much fatter? I get Shrek's a chunky boy, he's supposed to be big, but it's like, okay, this is too much weight. This is Super Size Me Shrek. And then Hasbro Shrek, we're going to call Ozempic Shrek because he lost too much weight. But middle Shrek is perfect. He has just the right amount of girth and his pot belly to be accurate Shrek. Wow. Guys, we've ran out of things to talk about. It's going to be a long wait for Shrek 5, folks. A long, long wait. But until then, it does seem like the MGA regular Shrek is the best Shrek figure to get. And I understand now why the regular painted version of this figure is going for an obscene amount of money. But, you know, I will keep my toy collecting eyes about me, and when I do get the proper painted version of this figure, we'll do another video. And maybe we'll do a tier list, like all of the Shrek figures compared. But until then, that was the Chase variant Shrek figure. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this Chase variant stuff? Do you like Chase versions of figures? Have you ever had any trouble finding ones? I'll tell you what, you'll have no trouble with the Shrek the Third ones. These Chase versions are readily available, and if you're looking to get into Shrek collecting, consider the Shrek the Third silver variants. They are some of the cheapest Shrek figures out there. And yeah, they're solid color, but they do look nice. You gotta admit, they do look nice, and they kind of look like little small silver statues of the Shrek gang. So I imagine a full set of the silver figures would look very nice on a shelf. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for joining me in another classic Shrek toy opening. Nothing makes me happier than opening up a new Shrek action figure. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a happily ever after.